Hey everybody, Dave Dubs here, and I got a special guest, my mom. And the reason that I invited my mom over here to do this video is because I keep hearing all the time that building one of these home businesses, oh Dave, it's easy for you. You are just so good at this kind of thing. You could just go do anything and it's easy. So I wanted to bring an expert witness in to remind you of where I come from, because I'm sure it's very similar to a lot of your stories. Mom, I got started when I was like college?
Well, you had just gone off to college when I got a phone call and he told me he was into Amway. And I was like, okay, you're going to college, you're working, and you're also doing Amway. This is an awful lot. But I don't know how many Amway products I bought, maybe filled our garage with them, trying to keep him, in business. And at one point he had a meeting up by his school, and he had invited like 300 people, and it breaks a mother's heart when not one person shows up. And his little heart was broken, which meant my heart was broken. So you got to understand, we went through Amway, we went through cell phones. One time he was into cell phones, and we bought cell phones. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't, because the company wasn't telling him everything. A lot of stuff, home protection units, you name it.
Colon cleansers.
Yeah, colon cleansers.
Vitamins.
Lots of vitamins.
A lot of nutritionals.
Yes.
My goal back then was it wasn't me. It wasn't me that wasn't doing good. I felt like, oh, there's another hot company.
Right.
Oh, and there's this top earner, and I'm going to go over here and do this. It was never me. I was perfect. I mean, but it was a company. But Mom will tell you, she was probably my only distributor in almost every one of my deals. I might have signed up a friend or two, but almost all those deals, it was my mom. But I still told her I was going to be filthy, stinking rich. And I know at that point it was hard to believe. And Dad, he didn't really believe in MLM.
Well, there's a reason for that. When you have a child that turns 18, at that time, everybody went to college. You prepared for your future. You got a college education, and then you went on and you got a good job at a good company, because you stayed there then most of the time for the rest of your life. And you had a foundation under you then. And it was very difficult for us to understand why college was so... David was good in school, but he didn't want to go to school. He wanted to do this. He was constantly working. He got his first job at 14 at a McDonald's, before he was probably even old enough. I think they called me from McDonald's and asked me, how old is he? Because he's probably our best person here, and we'd like to keep him if we can, He had a paper route, which then I had to do because he moved on to McDonald's. And he was just always pushing and working and trying to make it and doing well. And let's just say I'm sitting in one of the most beautiful houses because he's worked so hard.
And Mom, you after all these failures that you saw, I finally had success. I think I was 31, or a little bit, or in my 30s, right before I was 30. Was when I really started to take off and have a ton of success in this industry, and we haven't looked back ever since. But I remember my mom telling me that she knew I would do it. Either I was too stubborn or I just had enough drive. But as many times as she saw me fail and I couldn't sign up anybody, and there was times where I didn't live in my mom's town, and I would tell her about all the things I was doing, and I was trying to invite people to this meeting and that meeting, and I'd go home with all these different products, and my mom would shake her head, and she'd always say, one day you'll probably do it. Yeah, but I knew that was probably pretty hard for her to believe after 10 years of me not giving up and just keep, all she saw me doing was really spend money. Because I'd jump in, and all these deals were a few $100s to join. I'd spend money on that. I'd spend money on tapes. I'd spend money on materials and product, and I'd bring her stuff and brochures, and so she saw it for real. So she knows that she's seen me. My first apartment, Mom. Tell them how luxurious that was.
My goodness, my husband and I walked into this, and we're like, you're not going to live here. The windows didn't even go up and had no air, and it was so hot and just a mess. But we actually ended up paying for it, and he got to live there, and he managed, I think he lived there 5 years?
5 or 6 years, $230 a month with no air conditioning, most miserable place ever. And it's funny because I know where that place is, and when I go back there, I drive by it, and I said, man, I lived in that shack. And it was like ghetto. And I mean, you know, nobody in their right mind would want to live in that area. It was across from a crazy pawn shop. I mean, it was not the best part of town. But I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to have a lot of success, and I kept dreaming. You know, on my refrigerator there was pictures of yachts and cars and money and vacations and all that. Living in that place, even back then, I was dreaming big. I knew that at one point, you know, I kept hearing that guys that worked at car washes became multimillionaires in this industry. And I'm thinking, if they could do it, why can't I do it? You know, because I was a good salesman. Mom will tell you that when every job that I ever have, I was the #1 salesperson at the job, and I always had drive, and I love making money. I knew my mom and dad didn't have a ton of money. They did well, but they didn't buy me everything I wanted, right? I wasn't spoiled.
No way. There were a lot that you did get, because he's just as persistent, you know, when he wants something as he is when he wants to work. But no, we didn't. He had to earn stars when he was little to get his first bike. So maybe that was the first incentive, that he knew he had to work at something before he could actually just go out and get something without, you know, hard work. But I will say this too, I don't think it hurts to have a praying mom.
Well, I tell you, we had that did work. And then, you know, my dad I'd go sell candy bars at 50 cents a piece. He's like, sell 2 for $1. He'd instill in me, you know, like a little bit of sales tricks. But like when I wanted stuff, I always wanted to try to wear the cool clothes and, you know, get this. And I knew Mom could only afford so much, but I would work 2 jobs. I was working 2 jobs in high school. But I had a lot of drive, and I just knew I did not want to quit. But for everybody out there that says, Dave Dubs, you have it easy. You can just go out there and join any program and automatically rise to the top. Mom will tell you that was not my story. My story was, I started to figure out how to do some internet marketing years later, and I had people starting to chase me for a change instead of me chasing them. And the next thing you know, I just kept working the system. Before you know it, I've been the top money earner in 7 different companies. And right now, I'm a diamond distributor in My Fun Life. #1 recruiter in the United States in that deal. And so it comes a long way. But it's really cool to have my mom come down, see the success that I built, and you know, let her know that she was a great mom, and with lots of hard work. That all those times when I was crying because I couldn't sign up anybody, she was crying because she's like, why are you doing these MLM things? Stop, I want you to just get a job. That it actually worked out. And so everybody, here's my story. I hope you enjoy it. And now you know the truth. Talk to you soon.